Stand at the very top of the mat. Lift and spread your toes. Release your toes down, but keep the spread. And now let's work the top of the foot. So reach your left foot back as you stand really firmly on your right foot. And that will feel kind of like a balance pose. On my left foot, I'm just pushing my toenails in to get this nice length right at the top of the foot there. Release your left foot and extend your right foot back. Press your right toenails down. And as you do, just to work the toenails, even like the fourth and fifth toes, those little toes, see if you can get them to press down as well. Release your right foot. Again, left foot steps back. And again, it's a balance pose. So if you want to hold on to something so that you don't feel like it's all balanced, that you can start to work your toes a little bit more to work the top side of the foot. Release now, come to the opposite side. And now we're just starting to learn all the way from the foundation of our feet as we work up to our knees and our pelvis. Just learn different parts of the body here. So the top of the feet, we don't focus on that much, but it just helps this overall tone. Release now the foot back. Back into Tadasana. Inhale, take your arms up, reach up and back. And exhale, take your hands down. Two more cycles here. Inhale, spread your fingers to reach your arms up, reach slightly back this time. Exhale, release your hands down to your side. Two more times. In breath, reach up, reach back, look up, take your gaze back. Exhale, release your hands down. One more. Inhale, take your arms up, reach back with your fingers spread to tone the muscles of your arms, and exhale, release down. Place your hands to your low back and bend your knees. With your knees bent, with your elbows hugging in, draw your pelvis back. Take your hands right above your knees and draw your heart forward. Exhale, just round the spine. So keep your knees bent and just do this. Do this cat cow as you draw your heart forward and lift your chin. Exhale, you just look inward toward your heart. And one more time, in breath as you move your heart forward and lift your chin. Out breath as you get this fullness to the back body. Keep your knees bent. Place blocks right alongside your ankles in their tallest position. Step your right leg back. Take your right knee to the earth. And I've got two mats here, which allows for a lot of padding. And see, and hopefully you've got plenty of padding to support your back knee. Just lift yourself up so that now the pelvis is right over the knee. So now we're bringing attention to the knee while the toes are still doing their work. They're still pressing down nicely in the back. Inhale, take your arms nice and wide. Reach your arms. Do a twist here. Take your left arm forward, your right arm back into the twist. Release your hands down. Come to all fours position. And in all fours position, now that our knees are bearing more weight here, and our foundation is in our hands and our knees, press your toenails down and inhale, lift your sit bones and lift your chin. Exhale, get round in the spine. Just lift up the back body. And two more times. Inhale, draw your heart forward and lift your chin. Exhale, draw from the navel back to the spine. And one more time. Inhale and exhale. And come back to the center of those movements to step your left foot forward so that now it's not a deep lunge. Our knee is right over the ankle and our pelvis is right over the back leg there. The same thing we did. Balance yourself here on your right knee. Take your arms out and spread your fingers. So, this nice fullness that you have. Twist, and as you twist, just open your chest nicely. Keep your fingers spread so you've got this nice strong engagement in the arms. And exhale, release your hands back to the mat. And as you come to all fours position, we have been on our toenails, so tuck your toes under so that all 10 toes, if you can get even those baby toes to press down, draw your pelvis back as if you're trying to take all your weight to your heels. Now, of course, if your knees are a little fussy about this move, then pay attention to that and just go to the point that feels right for you. Inhale, lift yourself up, draw your heart forward, and exhale, draw the pelvis way back. So you're just kind of hinging on the in the pelvic area here, drawing more weight back to the toes that are pressing down. And again, inhale, lift your chin and open your heart forward. Exhale, draw your pelvis way back as if you're just trying to land on your heels. Now, let's see if we can actually do that. Take your hands back, and as you take your hands back, just press now, press your hands to the tall blocks. See if you can get a little bit more weight toward the toes. And again, maybe some of our knees are not quite ready for this. So if you're taller, that's fine. But see if you can bring more weight. Maybe you can even bring a full weight toward your heels. And if that's the case, you can reach your arms up. Take your hands nice and wide apart. Spread your wings like we were doing. Do a twist to one direction. Come back and do a twist to the opposite direction. Come back and release your hands down. Chances are your toes got a little fiery in all of that. So press your toenails down and just tap them, just like you're just kind of clapping with the tops of your feet. Just tap them to get a little bit more uh, action there in your feet. Step your hands a giant step forward with your toes tucked under. Just lift your pelvis up to come to the front of the mat. And as you arrive at the front of the mat, have your feet parallel to each other. Bend both knees. Place your hands right above your knees. And same thing, this cat cow in the standing pose. As you draw your heart forward and lift your chin and lift your sit bones, exhale, draw from your navel back to your spine. Two more times. Inhale as you open your heart, open your chest. Exhale as you get fullness to the back body. Place your hands to your low back, hug your elbows in, press down to rise up. As you step on your mat, in your wide stance, Look at your feet. They should be parallel to each other to start with. Interlace your fingers behind your back and press the knuckles right at the low back as you bend your elbows. With your feet parallel, with your elbows hugging in, draw your heart forward as you keep the heads of the arm bones drawing back. Just release down. Now, nod your head yes and shake it no, just as a way to just release the muscles of your neck. Bend your knees slightly so that you get a little bit more curve in your lumbar spine. And with the elbows bent, lift your interlaced fingers off your low back just a little bit. And the elbows bent are a way for you to keep this nice engagement of the upper arm muscles, the deltoids, the triceps, the biceps. You really get this nice engagement when the elbows are bent and when the elbows are hugging in toward each other. So you can release your hands to your low back now with knees bent. Press down to inhale and lift yourself up. Well done. Come back to Tadasana with your feet parallel to each other and pause. Just take your attention to the breath. In yoga, there's always more. There's always a new kind of frontier that you can explore in your own body. And part of that is because the body's changed so much. Even day to day, you can see some of those changes. So notice any changes to the breath, the start of your practice, and now after doing a few poses, maybe you notice like the breath is creating a little bit more heat in your body. This awareness in the practice is what makes you see that there is always more, and it makes you hungry for the practice. You come again and again with commitment to your own practice. So let's do one more standing pose. So step your feet wide again. And with your feet nice and wide apart, start in this parallel position. Bend both knees. Take the tops of your thighs back. Take your hands right to the tops of your knees. And just to kind of bow forward or draw your heart forward, I should say. Keep your head slightly lifted. Bend your elbows slightly. And as you bend your elbows, notice how the shoulder blades are hugging in toward each other on your back. If you're really pressing your hands above the knees, you feel this nice engagement of the shoulder blades. So keep that engagement, interlace your fingers behind your back, bend your elbows, and draw your heart down. So, similar to what we were doing before, just soften down with the inner thighs moving back and apart, with the shoulder blades hugging in. Place both hands to the low back. Press your flesh down to inhale and lift yourself up. Place your hands right to your hip points. Turn your right toes out and bend your right knee. Now, in the same way we've been doing, interlace your fingers behind your back with your fingers interlaced, with your elbows drawing in toward each other, with your knuckles pressing your low back. Keep them on your low back as you draw your heart toward your inner knee. Keep your back leg very strong. Soften down toward your front leg and inhale, lift yourself up. Release your hands and just pause here for a moment. Pause with your feet parallel to one another. Check that out to make sure you've got that parallel position. Start with your hands at your pelvis. to turn your left toes out. And as you turn your left toes out, bend your left knee. Keep your back leg really strong. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Hug your elbows in toward each other. Open the chest nicely. Exhale. Take your heart down toward your left inner knee. Just soften down. Keep your back leg strong. Soften more in your front leg. And inhale. Press down and get the back leg to be strong to get you to lift up. Release your hands and step your feet to Tadasana again. Your feet are parallel and you're standing really tall. And just like when we started, let's balance. We'll be balancing with both feet on the floor, but it's in the same way that we did earlier. Just step your right leg back and press your right toenails down. And it does become this balance pose. So, by all means, grab a hold of the wall or something if you feel out of balance. So, I'm just taking my foot back, pressing my toenails down. And as we started, we did the same pose to get this nice line, this nice length on the front side of the leg. Just notice if you can find any differences between now and when we started. Release your foot down. Be strong in your right leg. Press your left foot back, and same thing, really press down through the tops of the toes to get this length to the full front side of the leg as you work your toes very firmly. You can release your foot. And so we were working on from the feet to the knees. We gave the thighs a little bit of a stretch here. And now let's do a little bit of a twisting on the mat. Step your feet nice and wide apart. And in this wide stance of your feet, just draw your knees over toward your left side. So the right knee comes down, left knee comes down. So you're pressing the inside of the left foot. You're pressing the outside of your right foot. Come to a twist by taking both hands to one side. Just stay tall first. So, of course, your right hip is lifting in this asymmetric action, but see if you can keep your right leg from going kind of asleep on you. You want to keep your right leg active. You're continuously pressing into the inner knee of the right leg and the inner ankle area. So as you press your hands down, see if you can come to your fingertip tops on your left hand as you turn to get the left side ribs a little bit more fullness in the left ribs, and draw down. Just draw down. Keep your hands strong. Keep softening down. Press into the earth to inhale and lift yourself up. Now lift your knees up and same thing. First, just start by pressing your feet firmly. And what that does is it starts to engage the backs of your legs if you're doing it nicely. So the proper action here is to press your feet down, pull your feet as if they're trying to come in toward the buttocks, right? You're drawing in. So the whole back side of the leg, you feel this nice engagement. So keep that drawing in, that isometric action. And let's come to the twist on the opposite side. So press down through the inner edge of the left knee, press down on the outer edge of the right foot. Come to your hands, and in the same way, lift up your right side ribs by coming to your fingertip tops or even use your block and keep the legs active as you draw your heart down. So it looks like a very passive pose here of your legs, but your action is to keep the toes active, keep the feet working, and in that way, it just supports you to go a little bit deeper here in this twisting action. And inhale, lift yourself up and lift your knees up, step your feet forward. And with your feet forward, spread your toes with a nice spread to the toes. Just pause here for a moment. Bend your right knee and just stay paused here for a moment. With the right knee bent, lift your right foot up and see about just holding on to this foot, or maybe taking your hands to your heel. See if that's possible. After that nice twisting action in our hip opening with the shin parallel to the mat, we're allowing the knee to drop. Maybe it can drop just to the outer right ribs here. And you feel slightly out of balance here when you do this. Now, see if you can just hold on to this leg, but reach toward the opposite leg. So the full pose has you hold on to the big toe of the right foot while you're reaching to find the big toe of the left foot with your left hand. It's a little awkward. So wherever you are in the pose is just fine, and release down. Yeah, let's come back to Dandasana. It's a pose we don't do very much, but it has this interesting action of opening the hip while on one side, while working the hamstrings on the opposite leg. So we'll start in Dandasana with the fingertips alongside your pelvis to sit really tall. Keep that length. Bend your left knee. Press your left foot down. Just pause here. Keep your right leg really active. The back of the leg is trying to press into the mat here. Lift your left foot up. And with your left foot lifted, just pull the knee way back. So you're just opening up. It's kind of like what an archer might do, just pulling the bow back nicely, or the bowstring, I should say. So as you draw the knee under the armpit, you can hold on with your hand to the shin, or some of you can take the middle finger and the index finger and weave that right between the big toe and the second toe. So you're hooking the big toe. See if you can hold on to the big toe. So the big toe has to work quite a bit to do that. Now reach for the opposite toe. See if you can do that. So one hip is drawing way back, one knee is drawing way back, and the other leg you're straightening. So it's a very awkward pose. You're even trying to balance here in this pose and release down. Yeah, I know it's rather awkward, but let's come back to what is very symmetric here. Baddha Konasana. Have your feet pressing each other. Take your hands behind you and press your hands down. See if you can just lift your pelvis up off the mat to bring your pelvis closer to your feet in this prayer pose. In yoga, there's always more. There's always a way you can go deeper in these poses. And it's with this commitment to the practice, this showing up that that allows you to to go deeper, and it makes you hungry for your practice. You want to make pardon me, you want to make that commitment to show up. See if you can get your legs to show up and be really strong by pressing the base of the toes in toward each other, the four corners of the feet, which are the base of the big toe, the base of the baby toe, and the 2 points to the inside and outside of the heel. Just with your hands, lift your knees up slightly and notice how that allows you to come more forward on your sit bones. Draw your heart forward in this pose, just softening forward. And inhale, lift yourself up. Keep one leg like it is, hugging into the center. Extend your right leg straight, but keep your left leg in that same position. Maybe you can even take it a little bit higher so it's not actually tapping the knee, so it doesn't agitate the joint at all. And sometimes um, people tell me, and I feel this too. I like a little support under my knee because sometimes the knee on the bent leg side just doesn't feel so hot. So if that's the case for you, give your knee some support by propping it up with a block. Take a strap around the opposite leg, the straight leg, and as the base of the toes press into the strap, take your hands wider apart, bend your elbows, lift your elbows up so that you get lots of length from the pelvis to the armpit. Reach your heart toward your toes, inch your fingers toward your toes, soften down, and inhale, lift yourself up. Let's come to the opposite side here. So pass through Baddha Konasana, the feet pressing into one another, the knees lifting, the pelvis, you're helping to that curve of the lumbar spine by lifting your pelvis up and bringing it possibly closer to your feet if that works for you. If not, just align to what feels like your divine form here. All right, keep your right knee lifted and extend your left leg straight. In the same way that we were doing, again, if you want the support under your bent leg, by all means, give that. Take your strap around your extended left leg with the base of the toes pressing into the strap with your side body really lengthening so fully. Bend your elbows, lift your elbows up, walk your fingers toward your toes. Let your heart keep reaching forward as you continue to soften slightly. Breathe in deep, breathe out long. Continue to soften. And inhale, lift yourself up to come out of the pose and lie on your back. We'll come into that same pose we were doing, Baddha Konasana, with our feet together, but we'll be on our back. So come to lying down. And as you lie down, press your feet in toward each other. Press your elbows down. And as your feet press into each other, it's just kind of a reminder of the steps that we took in our practice. We were working our feet, we were working the tops of the feet as we began. We were working the foundation of the hands and the knees to bring our attention to the knees, and then we did some hip opening and the standing poses. So, see if all those actions that we did in the legs allow you to open up a little bit more in this pose by taking your heels a little bit closer to your pelvis. Press your feet down, press your elbows down with your arms in this robot sort of form. Press your elbows down and inhale, lift your pelvis up off the mat. Keep on pressing your feet. Keep a nice lift of your heart. Breathe in deep. Breathe out long. Keep a nice lift of the heart, feet pressing nicely. And slowly release your pelvis down. Draw your knees in toward each other. Take your hands right on your kneecaps. So lift your feet up off the floor with your hands right on your kneecaps. Press the palms of your hands on the kneecaps. And as you press your kneecaps, just see if you can notice a nice subtle difference in your lumbar spine. You're pressing the bone of your kneecap, and it's pressing your femur, your thigh bone down to the mat. That's giving you more lumbar curve. So keep that curve and just rock slightly over to one side. So you're giving more attention now to the gluteus muscles, just bringing a little bit more blood and circulation to that area, giving a little massage action. Just pause there with much more of your weight on one cheek than the other. Come back to the center position and rock to the opposite side. So you're just putting all your weight on the opposite cheek. Your hands are still pressing into the kneecaps. So you're maintaining the lumbar curve nicely. Now shift your weight back to the center of your pose. Press your hands into your kneecaps and do the opposite action with your legs, as if you're trying to lift your legs into your hands. So the legs, even though it appears so passive, you're actually quite active here. Actively pressing with the hands, actively trying to grow the length of your legs from your pelvis to your knees. And now you can release that action so that the legs are completely supported by the floor. So straighten your legs, straighten your arms, have your palms face up toward the sky. Now pause here. In Shavasana, it's a time to just assimilate the actions that we did. We were working on the foundation of our feet, and then we began to work up the leg before opening the pelvic area. We were able to open the upper chest with our fingers interlaced behind our back to give us more fullness in our breath. So find that fullness again in your breath. Find a softness in your breath. Find an ease in your breath. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Breathe in deep breathe out long. Very slowly bend your knees and plant your feet and pause here. Let your inner knees just collapse in toward each other. Your feet can be wider apart. This pose just as a way of just allowing your psoas muscle, your hip flexors to just relax and stay relaxed as you slowly come out of your practice. Take your arms up over your head as you're ready. Invite your breath to be very full. Draw yourself over to one side and let your head rest on your arm. And very slowly use your hands to lift yourself up and come to a seated pose and sit well with your legs crossed or however it feels comfortable for you. Sit tall. Place your hands in front of your heart. We honor our practice. We honor this desire, this hunger that we develop from the strong commitment to the practice to come back to the mat. We bow. We honor our practice. We honor our commitment with great love. Namaste.